This is the moment you've been waiting for. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. Welcome to the Podcast of Champions. I'm your host, Lord Deathman. And today we're taking a closer look at part 3 of the Disney Plus limited series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You don't have to search your feelings to know. It's always a good idea to like and subscribe. So thanks for that. Careful for spoilers if you haven't seen episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That preamble out of the way, I just have to say this was a devastatingly good episode. It's probably peak Disney Plus, and we are going to turn immediately to the arena to break it all down. I'm going to do some quick introductions, and then we're going to get into the discussion. Today in the arena, we have Jeff B., recently joined new champion. How you feeling today?
I feel great. It's good to be here.
And of course, as always, it's the top of the morning in the land down under. So we also have Biz on the panel today, our Star Wars aficionado, I think. How you doing today, man?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, great to be here. That's talking Star Wars, for sure.
Awesome. We're going to get into the capes and the whole 9 yards, right? All right. We also have the fan without fear, Mr. Taylor himself. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. Talking Obi-Wan.
Outstanding. And last, but certainly not least, we have the master of ceremonies himself, the Grandmaster, all decked out in black.
Hello, indeed, all decked out in black. I did that for a reason, actually, but we'll get to that later.
All right, I see a little MCU fanfare going on here, but I'm sure the Star Wars fans will forgive you.
Yeah, I'm not really heavy on the... Yeah, I'm really heavy, but I'm not really heavy on the Star Wars merchandise.
Fair enough. All right, I don't have to do much to sell this episode, so we're going to dive right straightaways into initial reactions. Starting with you, Jeff B., what was your take on this, your quick reaction to part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I loved it. Thought it was gut-wrenching. Absolutely gut-wrenching. But I loved it.
Yeah, fantastic episode. And that's really all you need to say about it. But if you have any other quick notes, I'll take them.
It just, I mean, it tears at your heartstrings, man. It's so gut-wrenching, and it's got its ups and downs. You know, 1 minute you're fired up about what's going on, and then the next minute you're sad because it throws up a lot of stuff from the past, you know?
It does.
And then the way when we get into it, we'll talk about it, but the toying that Vader does with Obi-Wan is just so gut-wrenching.
It really is. A very emotional episode. Thank you for that, Jeff. Next up, Grandmaster, can we get your initial reactions on the episode? Positive or negative? How'd you feel?
I think we saw with episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi the single best episode of original streaming shows anywhere.
That is a bold claim, sir. So you're thinking this is not only peak Disney Plus, but it's also peak streaming.
Yeah, I don't think that you can find a better single episode of any streaming show on whatever streaming service that is better than this particular episode.
All right, we're going to see if that's a claim that you can back up, sir, when we get to the deep dive. But continuing on with initial reactions, Biz, how did you feel as a longtime Star Wars fan who's kind of deep in the lore? What did this episode do for you?
Yeah, I definitely liked it. It was a good episode. Yeah, obviously we saw the showdown between Vader and Obi. Some fans are theorizing that we'll see another thing like that. Definitely, I mean, it's definitely in the cards. Yeah, it was a great episode. Can't wait to discuss more.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, Taylor, sir, what were your initial reactions of this episode?
So I guess Grandmaster is going to give it at least a 6 out of 10 this week. But it was a great episode, and I agree with Jeff. 1 minute you're laughing, next minute you're on the edge of your seat watching the action, and the next minute you're feeling it in your heart. Great episode, and all of the acting was really, really good.
Yeah, they are certainly delivering on this series. And I myself did not think that they were going to do this particular thing by the third episode. I thought we were going to have to wait for a last episode sort of confrontation and a big budget sort of overflow, but they did it. So I'm pretty close to Grandmaster 2 in terms of my own reactions to this episode. It does feel like peak Star Wars, at least for Disney Plus. But now that we've got initial reactions and it's fairly positive across the board, let's do a deep dive, gentlemen, and let's also discuss some of the highs and lows that you might have had for this episode. And this time we're going to start the round with Grandmaster.
Yeah, I have nothing but highs when it comes to the episode. I do want to address something later, but that has nothing to do with the TV show itself. But it was amazing. The moment I hear James Earl Jones' voice, that already sold me for the complete episode. I mean, the fact that they did that was amazing. Darth Vader, bringing Darth Vader back is always a big thing. I mean, we all remember Rogue One when he showed up and did that amazing action scene. I think it was like 20 seconds, but I think everybody still remembers that one particular scene. And that made the movie a whole lot better for a lot of people. That he did the same for this episode. I mean, his connection with Obi-Wan, the relationship, you can really feel it. And for me, now the show is about two characters. The rest is not so much important. It's Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and they reduce. If I have a low, that is that they reduce Kid Leia to a MacGuffin, like who has a kid.
Right.
That's my only critique point. That they use her as a tool to get Obi-Wan involved and stuff like that. That's well done, but to snatch her away again, it feels a bit. Yeah. But that's my only minor issue with this episode. Overall, fantastic. The moment he drags Obi-Wan through the fire, there's of course a direct callback to Revenge of the Sith, the episode.
Yeah.
That parallel was obviously there, and that made it so much. That gave this episode so much depth. It was amazing. Well written, well acted, well done, and. If this is where I don't see where Disney Plus can top this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this, I take it, as a redemption for those first two episodes you thought were a bit lukewarm.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you see episode 3, you can't tell me that those first two episodes were on the same level.
Certainly not. No capes.
So no, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And if they do this in episode 3, I cannot wait for the last 3 episodes, because what are they going to do then?
Yeah, I heard Obi-Wan is just going to spend all the time sitting by a creek in episode 4.
Oh,
yeah.
I will be there for it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Grandmaster, for your comments, your deep dive, your insight. Always welcome here. Next, I want to go to JB. Talk to me. What were your highs and lows for this episode?
All right. I didn't have any lows. I had all highs pretty much. It was just when they're walking through the desert and she's talking to Obi-Wan, and at some point in there, he says to her that she reminds him of someone that he knew, you know, which we know who he's talking about, you know, is her mother. And then when they go through, and of course he's telling her what to do, it's like you can see a little bit of Anakin in Leia when she turns around and she's taking charge. You know what I mean? She's like telling Obi-Wan what we're going to do instead of him telling her what they're going to do.
Right.
You see a little bit of her dad in there, but you can see a lot of her mother too. But then when they're on with Freck and they're traveling through and the stormtroopers come on, and of course, you know, he makes the mistake of calling her Leia in front of them, and then they discuss all that. And then at the end of that, she asked him, you know, if he's her father. She's starting to figure out, you know, that things are going on, which I thought was just really tore at you, you know, that. And when he looked up in the desert and saw, you know, when he was hallucinating and saw Anakin standing out there in the desert, you know, you could tell that it was Anakin by the profile and all. But yeah, it just tugged at your strings because, you know, you remember the relationship that they had, you know, so it's like, man, you know, and then knowing how it turned out in Revenge of the Sith and all. And then after they do all that and they meet the woman that's helping them escape, you know, and they get to the, I guess I want to call it a little warehouse, I guess, building where they've got the tunnels that are leading out for the Jedi, the younglings, to escape, you know, and he's feeling the wall, you know, and seeing all of the Jedi that have came before him that have escaped, you know, that really tugged at your heartstrings too, because, you know, you start thinking about all this other stuff. And then, of course, in the stuff that's going on is you've got Reeva, you know, chasing him down, which I think there's a lot more to that than just Reeva trying to get revenge. I think, you know, there's more to that, which I'll get to here in a minute. But anyway, when Vader arrives at the planet, you know, and you see him walk onto the planet, just the sheer force and the terror and him just with just how he's picking these people up, snapping necks and dragging people behind him. It's just unbelievable the length that he's going to get Obi-Wan to come out of hiding, you know, and I mean, man, he would have demolished that entire town. You know what I mean? It just showed how strong Vader really is at this time, you know, how strong and how much revenge and anger that he has, you know. And then we get through all that, and then the battle ensues, you know, the lightsaber, and the way he just toyed with Obi-Wan, man, turning his saber on and turning his saber off, and just, you know, it was just like he knew that Obi-Wan wasn't ready and he wasn't going to win this fight, you know. And I was really surprised when he backed off of him, because I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it really ended up being. But when he lifted him up off the ground and then slowly bent down and lit up the crystals there that caused the fire and was pulling him through the fire, I mean, it was just sheer terror. I mean, of how,
as you said earlier, it was gut wrenching. I think that's the right term for it.
And then, okay, I think when Leia runs through the tunnel and winds up seeing Reeva, I feel like that Reeva is going to end up being on the side of good. I think she's got her reasons for trying to be side by side with Vader, and I think it's to try to get close to Vader, which I could be wrong.
She's good for a double cross. We know that from the first two episodes. So
I feel like she was one of the younglings in that in episode 1. You know,
we're gonna have a discussion about that, JB, in the lightning round when we go through some questions. But we've also got a good fan theory coming up on Reeva as well.
Cool. But yeah, it was just great, man. This whole, and I feel the same way Grandmaster does. This definitely has been this has been the best one so far. I think it's only going to get better, really. And I hope we see another fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. You know, you have to remember that, you know, for 10 years, Obi-Wan's been hiding, you know, and for 10 years, he thought that he left Anakin for dead, you know, So,
and his skills aren't where they need to be, which is another key component of the confrontation that makes it so gripping. We know Obi-Wan has had experience fighting Anakin Skywalker, but the force of nature that is Darth Vader is something completely new and terrorizing to him. So, but thank you so much, JB, for those comments. As always, you're bringing insight and depth to the discussion, which is always welcome here. I do want to take a moment to jump to our next champion, Taylor, to get your in-depth analysis and your highs and lows. Lows, if you had any for the episode.
I can't think of any lows at the moment. Maybe it'll come to me. But yeah, everything Jeff said, it was fantastic. Ewan McGregor. Okay, I love Star Wars. I don't call it A New Hope. I call it Star Wars. The first movie it came out, it was Star Wars. I love that movie. It's literally one of my all-time favorite movies. And the best actor in that movie was Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows anything about Alec Guinness knows what I'm talking about.
He's an incredible actor. Yeah.
And Ewan, I can't think of anyone who would do a better job than Ewan McGregor of playing that character. I mean, what a challenge to play a young Alec Guinness in one of the most popular franchises of all time. And McGregor is fantastic. I don't know if we're going to talk about people or complaints about this that are on the internet. There's a lot of them, but one of them is Leia, the actress specifically. Right. The actress playing young Leia isn't good enough. Who are these people? I'll tell you right now, that little girl is already a better actor than Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill were in the first movie. Go back and watch it. It's true, okay? Yeah. And again, I already said I love that movie, but the truth is the truth. Their acting was nothing.
I agree with you 100%.
She's like 10 years old, and her acting is spot on.
Yeah.
And they mentioned how you see Padme in her, and you do, but you also see Carrie Fisher, Leia, in her a lot. The personality, the kind of brattiness, the precociousness, the talking back, the contradicting. I mean, I love the scene before they got on the bus there with the mole man. He had like 2 seconds told her, "You don't talk, I do the talking." As soon as they get there, she starts talking and starts giving him the whole story. This is my dad. We're here to whatever. And by the way, did anyone notice that planet looked a lot like Arizona? I just wondering.
Yeah, the guy who piloted that conveyance, his character name was Freck, and he was played by Zach Braff.
Yeah, I recognized the voice, and I couldn't place it until the credits rolled at the end. I'm like, that was Zach Braff. But yeah, it was fantastic. Darth Vader is Darth Vader. Always great when you see Darth Vader. And you know what? Just like in Rogue One, like you mentioned before, just like in Rogue One, Darth Vader in small doses is so much more impactful and so much better than a whole movie with Darth Vader from end to end.
Right.
It's that suspense and those moments, like you mentioned, a force of nature. He's like a tornado comes through the show, So all good. And just my last point, Reeva. I think Reeva's a great villain. I think she's doing a terrific job of playing the villain. I'm not sure what her motivation is. Jeff was talking about this earlier. I haven't figured out what her motivation is. I'm not sure it's revenge or if it's just ambition. She wants to claw her way up the ladder. That's how she talks a lot with her colleagues in the Inquisitor team there. How she's trying to claw her way up. Maybe she wants to be the right hand of the Emperor someday, or maybe she does have a particular axe to grind against Obi-Wan. I haven't decided at this point. But the way she's pulling off the character is great. And I also like. I know that I said that was my last point, but I also liked the interactions with the stormtroopers, both the group that got on the bus and then the group at the checkpoint where they had the little battle, and then more showed up. And then, of course, we found out that there was an officer in the Empire who is disillusioned and is now with the rebellion, which is pretty interesting too. So all of the people in the rebellion are not farmers from the outer ring or whatever. Some of them come from within the Empire. So anyway, thought it was all great. The show's going great. We're halfway through. I can't believe it. And can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. And the officer that you were referring to, who sort of seems to head up the Jedi Underground Railroad, as it were, is Tala, and she was played by Indira Varma. Very good actress there. I really enjoyed her performance, and I like the idea, as you did, Taylor, that she's kind of breaking away. She's disillusioned by the Empire, and she didn't think it was going to go this way, even though she might have been on their side earlier in the conflict. So, as always, great notes from Taylor. I all of your points resonate with me a lot, Taylor, in terms of how this episode unfolds, and especially your praise for the child actress who is playing Leia Organa. I think her name is Vivienne. I'm not sure. I didn't put her down into my notes, but she is a lot better than those adult actors from the old Star Wars movies. I mean, it's one thing to love that movie, which I do as well, but you know, I think we also have to sort of be realistic in that we saw it at a certain period in our lives, and our taste and understanding of acting and the craft and such was at a different level. So while I do think that movie deserves a lot of praise and will always be a favorite, it is time to realize that the craft of acting has progressed a lot, and this child actor is also doing a fantastic job. So that being said, I'm going to move on to Biz. I know you've been waiting in the shadows to talk about this episode. You probably got a lot to say, and I want to hear it all. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Lord Deathman. Yeah, like there's not really much more to say after like 3 people, but I'll see how I go.
That's all right. We'll try. We'll make it into a new conversation.
So like anyway, I'll touch on Vader actually. Yeah, I was because I just saw that comment. So with Vader, like yeah, I share the same sentiment with Jeff. I thought it was going to be a lot worse as well. But the part of me thinks that Vader let him go, because the thing is, obviously Vader's very, very strong, and you think a fire is just going to stop him from going after Obi? Like I don't think so. I mean, he could have a fear of fire. I mean, there are theories like that, but I don't necessarily think so. I mean, it could just go around if that's the case, but still. And then,
right.
Then another, but then another thought came up where that there's still the shooter over there. So maybe he was just being careful, or maybe he wanted to do the honorable thing and face Obi at his prime, give him some more time or something like that. But yeah, but again, it was still a very solid interaction between Obi and Vader. Like with that fire, holy crap! I did not see that coming at all. I mean, obviously the parallels of Revenge of the Sith and Mustafar. So yeah, Obi definitely knows now what it feels like to be Vader in a very temporary fashion. That's for sure. Yeah, that was absolutely stunning, that scene. What else is there about this episode? Oh yeah, it was great to see Tala, I completely forgot her name. You could definitely see the seeds of the Rebel Alliance through her. So it was interesting. Like, are we going to see more of her? I'd definitely like to see more of her. And also there was a Jedi like name. I can't remember the name, but Obi-Wan kind of said, oh, this like the way he reacted to it was like an important Jedi. Like I think he's from like in the Clone Wars or
yes, you're talking about. He doesn't appear in the episode, but his name. Yes. I don't remember that Jedi's name, but his name is inscribed on this wall, and a lot of the fans are waiting for his appearance in the series. Yeah. And I believe he's going to be played by Ice Cube's son, whose name escapes me at this moment. But we are going to get a live action rendition of that character.
Oh, okay. So that's actually confirmed?
I believe it is, yeah. In this series.
Oh, yeah.
No less, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting, seeing another Jedi. I'm pretty sure he's a Jedi. What else is there in this episode? I didn't even see that coming. Like with Tala, I thought that was a pretty neat touch when it seemed like it was going to be all doom for Obi-Wan. It was like he's getting captured, and then the what's his name? Her name, the rebel. I mean the Empire officer like just turns around and like shoots him. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't really have any criticisms of this episode. I thought like I mentioned on the board, it is always weird seeing like a massive, enormous icon like Vader facing off like almost like against an equal and his mentor, obviously his brother in a way. Anakin even mentioned that he sees Obi-Wan as a father. So it was a bit strange seeing that dynamic in a way. It was obviously awkward because Obi-Wan, he had to deal with everything. Like obviously has PTSD. Hasn't been in combat for like at least 10 years, like they said, 10 years later.
A decade.
Yeah, exactly. Like he even found it a struggle just to save Leia from falling to her death. So yeah, like he's definitely out of it, but he's not that out of it. He can still defend himself and has tricks up his sleeve. Obviously, he got away. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about Moses Ingram's third sister, aka Reeva? She seems to be playing everybody against the middle. She is daring enough to manipulate Lord Vader, and she's also cunning enough to deal with her superiors in the Inquisitorship. She seems to have her own motivations, but how are you feeling overall about her as a character, villain?
I think she's fine. Like I mean, like obviously her, I don't know if it's her acting or her character really, but it's probably a bit of both. But I don't know, she's not as compelling as like, for example, like characters like Obi-Wan and Vader, of course. I even find the little girl to be a bit more even better than her. I mean, like it's difficult to say. I can't exactly place. Like she's, I don't know. She seems a little bit like mustache twirling, like a bit cliched. Maybe
Okay.
that's what my problem is with her. But yeah, like it is interesting.
She does seem really conniving, I think, and she's very duplicitous. There is something about it that does make her seem like not a cliched villain, but like a villain of an older time. There's not a whole lot of complexity there. She's really kind of sadistic and devious.
That's for sure.
But anyway, that being said, Biz, do you have anything else that you wanted to add in your deep dive?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all. Yeah,
a scorching episode, pun intended. I'm going to go around the table and I'm going to take some ratings now and see how high the volume goes on this particular episode for everyone. But before I do that, let me jump to the Grandmaster for a quick follow-up.
Yeah, about Reeva. I think it is for a reason, and I think it's what Jeff B implied, that she is so obviously over-the-top villain in this show, because she's actually not. So I think that's exactly where they're going.
It's misdirected.
Yeah, exactly. But she's also misdirecting her colleagues, her fellow Inquisitors and stuff like that, by being super villainous. Even for their taste, she goes too far. So I think that's for a reason, and that's because she's actually not a villain, but she's actually has an agenda, and that agenda could very well be Darth Vader.
Right. To get close enough to him too, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But that's pure speculation, of course. But that's the feeling I get, that there's something else going on with her, and that's why she's so over the top.
Yeah. Well, speculation is half the game here. We'll be heading to our Cannon Fodder Challenge. But that being said, before we get there, let's go around the table and take ratings on this episode. Starting with you, JB, 1 to 10, how many sabers can you give this episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
10. 10.
Without missing a beat, 10 lightsabers. Yep. What color are they? Red, blue, green?
We're gonna go with blue in support of the Obi-Wan and the Rebel Alliance. We're gonna go with blue.
All right, outstanding. Great answer, by the way. Next up, Biz, tell me, 1 to 8 kyber crystals, how many can we give this episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
1 to 8. Okay.
I'm sorry. I meant 1 to 10. I got the scale. I wanted to make it challenging for
I was
you.
actually gonna say
You get
something,
1 to
but
10,
okay,
just
go
like
ahead.
everybody else.
Yeah, definitely a 9. 9 kyber crystals for sure. Yeah, great episode.
Outstanding. And Grandmaster, you will be next. 1 to 8 stormtroopers. 1 to 8 cut in half stormtroopers. How many can you give? That would be 16 stormtroopers. Counting. No, I'm sorry, 20 stormtroopers.
You have an obsession with the number 8 tonight. I don't know what's going on, but
because I wish the series was 8 episodes instead of 6. You know, it seems so wrong that we're only going to get 6 episodes of this. But yes,
Lord Deathman only has 4 fingers on each hand. That's the problem.
That's it. I gave up my thumb. Sorry, I have 4 fingers. But 1 to 10 stormtroopers cut in half. How many can you give?
10.
Okay. Ask a question, get an answer.
Yeah, 10. It's as simple as that. 10. I'm not going to elaborate.
Indeed. All right. We've spent enough time botching basic arithmetic. Let's move on to Taylor. How many of those little Imperial beanies can you give this episode 1 to 10? You know, those green hats with the little, I love those caps. Why don't they sell those like for baseball games?
Yeah, it would be cool. That was really cool though when the stormtrooper got sliced in half when he fell on the fence there.
Yeah, that was a moment.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. So there's 1/2 of a stormtrooper running around out there that I haven't counted.
Just the legs.
9.5 out of 10.
All right. High marks for episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was a scorcher, again, pun intended. But now we are ready to move on to the next segment of the show. We're going to do Cannon Fodder.
Cannon Fodder.
And Cannon Fodder is the part of the show where we pit the champions against the fandom in a game of speculation, a deadly game of speculation in which we let them give a buy, hold, or sell rating on some of the hottest theories associated with this Disney Plus series. I'm going to start off the proceedings with our first theory. And these theories really read more like facts. I have a feeling that we're going to get a lot of buys here, but we'll see how it goes. Starting with you, Jeff B., the first theory is that Reeva's vendetta against Obi-Wan is deeply personal. And I'm starting with you for a reason, since you had elaborated on the whole idea that Reeva could have some connection to Obi-Wan that is more personally. The fandom theory is that her vendetta against Obi-Wan is very much personal. Are you going to buy, hold, or sell on that fan theory?
I'm going to sell on that fan theory.
Oh, this is controversial. You're selling.
Sell.
Can you give us a little insight into your market purchasing here, or lack of?
I think it's a misdirection with the thing with Obi-Wan. I think she's chasing Obi-Wan because she's seeking to want to get revenge on Vader. Is what I think.
Okay.
But the reason why I feel that way is earlier in this episode when she walks into the room with the Inquisitors and she says that she spoke to Vader and then she says, "Release the drones now." You know, and the other 2 Inquisitors look at her like, "Hey, you know, hold up, who are you to tell us what to do?" You know, and then as they're walking by her, he says that the other Inquisitor says, "I will get what's mine, and you will get what's yours." You know, like
right.
that, and
she says, "I certainly hope so."
So, and then underneath her breath, she says, "I certainly hope so." To me, that made me feel like that there's a lot more to what she's doing than what we know. And then when she went directly to the warehouse where the Jedis were leaving, I mean, how did she know that? She went right straight there, you know, and then she made it through those, which I know there's an intricate amount of tunnels in that system, but she made it to the other end of that tunnel pretty quick.
Yeah, in record time.
You know, and so that tells me that she knew something more than what we know. So that's why I say that. I just feel like that she's, and I could be completely wrong. I mean, but yeah, I definitely got to sell that one. I can't do it. That.
Understood. Ladies and gentlemen, in Fandom Land, JB not only sells, but he builds an incredible case for selling, and it's not based on hearsay. Let's jump to our next champion for the rating on this fandom theory. Biz, are you going to buy, hold, or sell on a deeper connection between Reeva and Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Sorry, what, like a deeper connection in what sense? Sorry, I kind of miss.
Not at all. I'm happy to go through this one with you again. So Reeva has this vendetta against Obi-Wan Kenobi. She really wants to get him in front of Vader. Do you think that there's a personal rationale for it? Could she have been one of the Padawan learners who had to go through Order 66 without the protection of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Perhaps he was her master. Are you thinking that there's a personal connection, or is Reeva kind of just a climber trying to get closer to Darth Vader? And in that case, you'd probably be selling on this one.
Okay, right. It's hard to say. I'll hold on it because I've got like several ideas in mind. Like, it's hard to say. So yeah, like for example, she could be she could be just pure ambition, so she can eventually be the Grand Inquisitor. It could be because she's actually still working for the Jedi's, and then like to kill Vader to get close to him, or it could be maybe she really wants to kill Obi-Wan because she feels betrayed, because maybe she was that youngling and Obi-Wan didn't save her.
There's a lot of possibilities.
So, yeah, I'll hold on that. Yeah.
He's going to hold. Okay. We've got a hold rating here. Taylor, it's up to you. What do you think is the reasoning? Is this a buy, hold, or sell in terms of Reeva's connection to Obi-Wan being more personal?
I think it's more likely that she's a climber and she doesn't really have a personal vendetta with Obi-Wan.
He's just a means to an end?
That's my feeling as of now. I don't know if she has anything with Vader either, if she has some sort of plan to take out Vader. Good luck with that. But
yeah.
I don't know if... Yeah. Personally, I'm taking it right now. I'm just taking it at face value that she is a climber. She wants to work her way up the chain in the Empire, and it's a means to an. So I'll just barely sell. I'm close to holding, but I'm just gonna sell.
This is a straight sell. That's 2 in this session. Grandmaster, are you ready to buy, hold, or sell on a deeper connection between Reeva and Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I'm going to sell for the same reasons Jeff B already explained, so no need for me to say anything else.
Okay. In this round, that's all sells other than our hold from Biz. We are going to rapidly move on to our second theory of the session, which is, and this one, put your thinking caps on, champions, because this one may seem simple on its face, but you may want to give it a little bit of thought. And this one will start with Biz. Do you think that the Grand Inquisitor is dead? The fan theory is that he is not dead. So are you going to hold, buy, or sell on that?
I'm just going to say, yeah, I'll buy it. Sure.
You're thinking that the Grand Inquisitor has survived a direct saber strike to the abdomen. That's usually a death sentence. You can't come back from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I think he's dead. Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, like, what's the point of like bringing the Grand? That's the way I'm thinking. Like, what's the point of bringing him back? Like, is there a need to bring him back? Like,
well, he certainly does know how to spin a saber. We might need to bring him back just for that party trick. So wait, to clarify, you are buying that he is not dead.
Oh, sorry. I'm selling. Sorry.
You're selling. Okay. So you're saying he's in the grave, 6 feet under. It's a sell. He is not coming back.
Yeah. Worms are eating him now, so.
Okay. The Grand Inquisitor is worm food, according to Biz. Taylor, moving on to you next. Do you feel that the Grand Inquisitor is dead? Is that a buy, hold, or sell on the theory that he is not dead? To be clear, the theory is that the Grand Inquisitor will make a return. He is coming back. Do you want to buy, hold, or sell on that theory?
Yes, I disagree that he is not, nor has he never been undead. Isn't he a character in Rebels?
That goes beyond my knowledge of the lore, but Champions, is he someone who's still around?
Maybe it's another guy who looks like him who takes over the job of Grand Inquisitor. Maybe
maybe you have to wear the same face paint.
I think he is a character. It could be. That may be the official. You have to shave your head. It's like a fraternity. You have to shave your head and wear face paint to be the Grand Inquisitor. But, okay. So if I sell, that means he's dead or alive. I'm lost.
Okay. If you're selling on the idea that he is not dead, that means he is indeed dead and that he died at the hands of Third Sister during the first 2 episodes.
Okay,
Permanently.
Well, for the time being, then I am going to buy that he is not dead.
You're buying that he is not dead. Okay. The Grand Inquisitor is not dead. That is a buy. Grandmaster, and all this dead, undead, not dead talk, the theory is that the Grand Inquisitor is not dead. Will you buy, hold, or sell on that one?
I buy for the only reason that the character was indeed in Rebels, and that takes place after this show. So that's why I'm gonna buy. But
okay,
if I did not have that part knowledge, then I would absolutely sell the shit out of this theory.
I'd sell the shit out of it. Okay,
but I'm gonna buy based pure on the fact that he was in Rebels.
Well, if Darth Maul can literally be sliced in half and come back,
right? He came back. That's right.
One stabbing is nothing. It's like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, the acting on the actor's face.
Put him in one of those pods, and it fixes everything.
the what is it? The Bacta tank? Did I get that right, guys? Where you take a bath and everything is fixed up again. We saw a lot of that in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
JB, you're up next. The fan theory again is that the Grand Inquisitor is not dead. Will you buy, hold, or sell?
I'm going to buy that he's not dead. And the reason I say that is because he doesn't die until the final episode in season 1 of Rebels. And he's killed by, oh crap. I think his name's Keegan or Negan. Keegan. I think that's his name.
This feels like insider trading.
Yeah, he is training Ezra Bridger, who is like the next chosen one, I guess, or something in the Rebels scene. But yeah, in season 1, Inquisitor's killed by him. So that's why I have to buy it too. But the only thing I could say of why he would come back would be to, I guess, bring out the revenge against Reeva, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's the only reason why I'll buy it.
Okay, we've got a buy from JB, doing a little bit of insider trading here on the Podcast of Champions, but we forgive it. That being said, Reeva's not on Rebels. The Grand Inquisitor is. You do the math, since I've been botching it so badly on the show today. Moving on to our third and final theory. This one should be a slam dunk, guys, but I'm curious to see what you think about it. We'll start this round off with the Grandmaster. Qui-Gon Jinn will appear in this series. We have 3 more episodes to go. We know Obi-Wan has been training to commune with his former master. Do you think Qui-Gon Jinn is going to appear in this series in the Force Ghost flesh? Obviously, he did die in the previous episodes. Are you going to buy, hold, or sell on that?
Buy. Simple. This is so heavily hinted. Even in the little sizzle, rizzle, I don't know what it's called, when they before they started this show, episode 1, they started with a summary of the first 3 movies, and even in that little summary, it was hinted. So I would be very, very, very surprised if he didn't show up. So absolutely buy.
Okay.
Qui-Gon Jinn is coming back as Force Ghost.
All right, we're starting the round off with a buy. Moving on to Taylor. Qui-Gon Jinn will appear in the series. Are you going to buy, sell, or hold?
Yeah, I'm going to buy. It might just be a voice, but in some form or another, he is going to be there.
Okay, that's 2 buys. Biz. Qui-Gon Jinn doesn't quite care for Ewoks. He didn't want to show up in Return of the Jedi, but this is his moment. Will you buy, hold, or sell that Qui-Gon Jinn will appear in Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, I'll buy that. Definitely, sure.
Okay, 3 buys in a row. JB, will you be the one to break the streak? Qui-Gon Jinn will appear in the series. Buy, hold, or sell?
4 buys in a row.
Okay, that's a straight buy. Yeah, I think at this point we've affected the price of these shares. We've artificially manipulated them GameStop style. But what's your reasoning? Do you feel like they're just hinting at it way too much and they're going to get Liam Neeson into the makeup and the ponytail again?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's been reaching out to him now, 2 times already that we know of? And he hasn't popped up yet. I think it'll be a voice, it'll be a voice communication. I don't think we'll see him actually in person on the show. It'll probably be a voice thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he'll definitely show up. I have to buy it all the way.
Outstanding. All right. That concludes this round of Cannon Fodder. We've got all 3 of our theories dealt with. The champions have spoken. At the end of the series, we are going to tally up to see how the champions measured up against the fandom. But right now, we're going to move to the next segment of our show, which is the lightning round. Where I challenge the champions to answer random questions about this particular series. Some of them are going to be super serious. Some of them are going to be real easy softball pitches. And I clearly don't know as much as I should about baseball. But here we go. Starting with you, Taylor. Does this episode deepen your understanding? So does this Disney Plus sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi lore really deepen your understanding of the movies that came before? Are you feeling that this is adding to this for you, or is it creating contradictions in the lore or things that you feel like you have to work out to make it all seamless?
I don't think it's adding to my understanding, but I don't think it's causing any confusion. I think it is adding to the richness of the story. I think it's filling in a period of time, which is pretty important in the greater picture of the entire saga.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you because there are things that the fans are kind of going after, when you first hear Leia sending that message to Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, she calls Obi-Wan by name, which means that she met him or they had some kind of communication prior to that she would know him on a personal basis and feel comfortable with him saying, he's my last hope. And now we see that she did meet him as a child. So now that kind of totally makes sense why she would. And she didn't call him Ben. She called him Obi-Wan, I believe, in the holographic message. So I think personally, my opinion is that they are kind of filling in plot holes, if that's what you want to call them, or they're kind of explaining things that didn't. It's not like they were a plot hole or didn't make sense, but they were kind of like you had to fill in the blanks yourself. Now they're actually doing it with canon.
Right. And I think they're expanding.
Yeah. They're expanding it, but there are a lot of fans who are like...
It wasn't any sort of plot hole, but they're expanding the story. Yeah. And, they don't necessarily have to do that, but heck, we're getting a great show out of it, so I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah, and it's a long gap of time that Ben Kenobi was in hiding. You know, you have to assume something happened to the guy, that it wasn't all about just taking that slice of meat every day from the job, cooking up the same meal, right? Yeah. All right, guys. This one goes to you, Biz. This one was specially designed for you. Let's talk about Fifth Brother, aka Sung Kang of the Fast and Furious franchise. Are you feeling like Fifth Brother deserves a bit more screen time instead of just making empty threats and force, crazy force gestures? He does seem very menacing and imposing from the makeup. Do you want to see a little bit more of him, or are you just okay with Fifth Brother being in the background?
Yeah, I don't really mind either way. Like if you see more or less of him, or just the same. Yeah, it really. I mean, like what I will give him credit for, he does seem menacing. He's got that squared away. But like in terms of seeing more or less, yeah, I don't really feel any which way. You don't feel
either way. You're neutral on it. You know,
yeah,
he
exactly.
plays like this really stoner character in the Fast and Furious franchise.
True.
If you've ever seen him, he's always like laid back, like he had marijuana, but you didn't see him do it. And now he's like, all threatening. And so he's a pretty good actor. And I'd like to see him get a little bit more screen time if we can, rather than see him just be Reeva's pawn there. Yeah, his unwitting pawn.
He's not really a major character, so that's why I'm thinking like it doesn't really matter which way to me. So yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. We're going to move on to you, JB, with the next question. Do you feel like we need to see either Yoda or the Emperor in this series? And those are uber level characters, usually reserved just for cinema. But do we need to check in on Yoda in his exile? He is also in exile at this particular time in history. And we know that the Emperor, must be doing something, sitting on his throne in his castle. Do you want to see either of them in the series?
I don't really. It's not like I have to see either one of them in the series. I think they'll probably give us the Emperor before they do Yoda, because I don't really understand why they would show us any backstory of what Yoda's doing. That would like be a whole nother series, pretty much. I think, but the Emperor,
as you say it, JB, it could happen. Yoda,
and it may be happening for all we know, but I think we have a better chance of seeing the Emperor than we do Yoda. We may hear maybe a voiceover of Yoda, but I don't know. I think if they bring Yoda in, it's going to take away from, where we're at. I mean,
you think it'll take us out of Obi-Wan's journey if we get this incredible heavy hitter Star Wars character in the series?
Yeah,
okay.
The Emperor I can understand because it makes more sense for Vader to be in communication, with him during this time.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I just feel like if you bring Yoda in, it's going to take away from it. I mean, a voiceover of him maybe communicating with Obi-Wan, I could see that. But
okay,
I don't know. I could be wrong.
All right. Well, this isn't one where you're wrong or right. I just wanted to take your temperature in terms of, do you feel like if they made an appearance or if they hinted at the character that we could either be adding or taking away from the series in some way, But we'll see. We've got 3 more episodes, and thank you so much for your answers to that question. Grandmaster, that leaves you with our last confounding question in the lightning round: figure skating or emotional content? And let me elaborate on that. There are 2 different styles of saber fighting in this Star Wars universe, right? Sometimes we get figure skating, where it's a beautiful ballet of swashbuckling strikes and flips and all sorts of crazy choreography, or we get the heavily emotional style that we saw in episode 3, where it's about fury, it's about brutality, it's about unrelentingness. Do you want to see more of that kind of figure skating style of saber fighting, or do you not have a preference at all in terms of where our future lightsaber fights go?
I want the lightsaber fights to make sense. No. Let me elaborate. When you see in the Star Wars, A New Hope, sorry Taylor, you see Vader and Obi-Wan fighting, but it's two old men fighting, so it's slow and it's not really flowing. When you see the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul fight in the Phantom Menace, it's like peak Jedi against a peak Sith, and it's fast and it's furious and it makes sense, and that's what I want from the lightsaber fights. I don't want like now a rusty Obi-Wan and a clunky Vader in a heavy suit to be fast and flipping over each other and stuff like that.
Right.
It needs to be a little bit clunky, and well, they do that perfectly, and that's what I want from my lightsaber fights.
Outstanding. So you think that the saber fight of episode 3 was perfectly tuned to the story and the characters in terms of where they are at the moment?
It wouldn't really make sense if all of a sudden they were like the fight they had in
the Sith,
Revenge of
which
the
was
Sith.
a beautiful ballet of saber work.
Exactly, and then they were both fit young men fighting each other with a lightsaber. Then you get that ballet dancing like fight. But now one is older and rusty, and the other one is half machine. They don't move like a man in his prime. That's not possible. So then it needs to be clunky.
Indeed. Thank you so much for that insight, Grandmaster. As always, we have a follow-up from Biz, though. What's your thoughts on lightsaber battles?
No, it wasn't actually on lightsaber battles. Yeah, I totally agree with what Grandmaster said. No, this is for Yoda, because there has been some online chatter about that I've noticed where it is interesting because like Yoda, like even in the movies, like, oh, I'll teach you how to talk to your old masters. Like
right. It was Yoda who said, "Yeah, I have some additional training for you." Yeah.
And then you're talking to someone beyond the grave. It's like, what about Yoda? Like, he's still alive. Like, but then I was thinking like, maybe if Yoda spoke, then because he's such a powerful force, like very force sensitive, maybe that would tip off Vader or Palpatine. I think maybe that's why it's too much risk. But someone dead, I don't know. But I was thinking like, why can't we just talk to Yoda? Like, but yeah.
Well, we know if Yoda makes an appearance like bodily, these Inquisitors are done for. You know, they're just not on his level. They'll be cut in half quickly. They'll be dealt with if Yoda shows up. So, but all right, guys, do we have any other follow-ups from the lightning round from the show in general? Grandmaster, you have some commentary for us?
Well, I want to make a statement.
Yes, please.
I've been seeing a lot of shit online about Moses Ingram. She even posted some hateful comments, racist comments she got because people don't like her character or whatever. Liking a character is fine. Not liking a character is also fine. But there's no need to be racist, and she is doing a great job with the material that is given to her. Same goes for the young actress that plays Leia, and people should stop harassing those actors or actresses. And if you're a person that is doing that, please stay away from our channel. We don't want you.
Yeah, that's words of wisdom. Yeah, words of wisdom from the Grandmaster. I agree wholeheartedly. If you are a racist, then there is no room for you in any fandom, honestly. Thanks for that, Grandmaster. Any other follow-ups on the episode? Does anyone else want to make a statement? All right, then. Ladies and gentlemen, parting is such sweet sorrow, but this brings us to the conclusion of another episode of the Podcast of Champions. Thanks to the panel and to our listeners for joining me today. And remember that you too can join the conversation on sakar.freeforums.net. Also, be sure to check us out on Twitter and on Facebook. And remember, a wise man once said, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Let's be careful out there.